it's like the essential part of like the world is more or less built on like the neurotypical mindset,
Yeah.
and visual contracts is a way to make things more inclusive for the legal perspective, um, to make sure that we align better and that it's becoming more inclusive anyway, so that more people can have this equal opportunities in the end. That's really the higher level goal for me, what I would like to achieve with visual contracts.
Welcome to Women Disrupting Tech. My name is Dirk-Jan Hupkes, and on this podcast I give the women who work in tech the platform they need to inspire and empower each other. Join me on a journey into the world of entrepreneurship, funding, biases and role models to discover the strategies for success in the tech industry. In other words, how women can disrupt tech. Are you ready to listen? Hey, welcome back to Women Disrupting Tech, and thank you for listening to episode 68. Being a startup founder takes courage. You need to invest a lot of time and money in a chance to be successful, and as you probably know, not every startup is. In fact, only 5% of them is successful. In this episode, Lieke Beelen and I have an open and honest conversation about the failure and rejection that come with being a startup founder. Lieke used her background in industrial design engineering to build a platform that businesses can use to make their contracts easy to understand for ordinary human beings like you and me. She got subsidies, a chance to pitch in the US, won the Access to Justice Award from Pels Rijken, but somehow visual contracts never got lifted off. And recently, Lieke decided to take a break from her startup to recharge her own battery. In this episode of Women Disrupting Tech, we'll learn why visual contracts are not yet the new standard. Lieke shares her journey building the Canva for contracts, why it matters to make legal documents easy to read for everyone, and how her dyslexia fueled her passion to improve access to the legal system. So, when you're ready to hear the true story of a neuro-divergent startup founder who is making Legalese easy to read with visual contracts, please welcome to Women Disrupting Tech, Lieke Beelen. Hey Lieke, welcome to Women Disrupting Tech. A
Thank you.
question I always ask at the start is how you got into your current job and current position, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dirk-Jan, for inviting me also to the podcast. So how I got into the current role that I am is I actually was freelancing, and I was in a network called Junior Chamber International, and there was one lawyer who was working on plain legal language, and she was also interested in what we could do with visualization in legal documents. So that's how we got to start talking, and then we actually participated in the Hague Innovators Challenge.
Mm-hmm.
We won a second prize there, which with the project "The Privacy on the Internet," where we redesigned the privacy statement of Facebook,
Oh,
as a case study, really
okay.
to look into what can you do with visualization and design in general to make legal documents more understandable and accessible. And then in this case particularly also, like, how can we make people more aware about their privacy. So it was also in general about privacy awareness. So that's how I got to like work one-on-one with a lawyer for the first time and on legal content for the first time, which was very interesting and also challenging, but
Yeah.
also very motivating, like to see what you could do. But that was really the starting point of how I got inspired to really, take this further. And in general, that first idea of, making the law more accessible, that was
Okay.
really struck my mind and like inspiration to do that.
Okay. Cool. Out of curiosity, so you started through meeting a lawyer.
Yes,
Can you go a bit deeper into why it piqued your interest?
yes. So I have always been like, as a designer, so I have a background in industrial design engineering,
Hmm?
Delft University of Technology. And I have always, like, at the time I was freelancing, I was doing also a lot of visual thinking work, which was always like small projects and like days, and people were treating that also as like only a day for fun. Like, okay, nice, let's
Hmm.
invite people who draw to make some event very nice as a remembrance. But that felt like to me like with all my background and my creativity, and then also having dyslexia myself and ADHD, which I only discovered later down the line. But back at that time, I was only aware about my dyslexia. So
Hmm.
all that together was like, okay, I want to do something more substantial with what I can do with my skills and my background, and build like a scalable product or something like that. And there, I got this introduction and I saw like, okay, legal documents, well, they are everywhere, of course. And those are really touch points for the legal world. So yeah, I saw the scale and the impact it could have, and my
Yeah.
own experience with like, yeah, legal documents in itself, like, and legal stuff was like super inaccessible and not attractive and complex. And then I'm not the only one with that challenge. And I still
No.
have a background that is focused on innovation. So to me, it was also like it's sort of the ultimate, I saw it as the ultimate innovation also to work on. Like one of the biggest, like most conservative fields to help them innovate and make things more accessible. Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
big challenge for me as well. So has just a lot of aspects that all come together with my background and my own experience, and
Yeah.
making an impact in the world, like doing something something substantial.
Yeah. And doing something really good because
Yeah.
indeed the legal documents, the English have a word for this, that there's English and there's legalese,
Yes.
which is not necessarily something people, ordinary people understand.
Yeah.
And I have a background in legal, so I do have a bit of background, but I remember from my own experience doing a code of conduct for ING. And
Hmm.
then the first version of it, because I was in the legal department, was like really legal.
Yeah.
Also, really like article based and
Yeah.
etc. And then we got the feedback from the executive board, and they Kees Maas, he was the CFO at the time. He
Hmm.
told me to my face like, okay, you need to redo this entirely,
Yeah.
and you need to make it simple
Yeah.
because this no one will ever read. And if no one ever reads it, we cannot hold it against them.
Yeah.
So if we have violations, and we did have a lot of violations, like in any company, it makes our legal case a lot worse. So and then I started to work on really making it plain language, and even that is well, if
No.
you have dyslexia, that's not good enough.
Well, yeah, no, that is like one way indeed. It's at least a starting point from what I know, like to innovate this and to work towards it. Of
Yeah.
course, plain legal language is one of the first steps that a lot of people start out with to take it. But indeed, it's definitely not everything, and it can still be like, yeah, not making it accessible enough. Indeed, that's true
Yeah.
for a lot of people.
So then you run into the challenge that you think is like, okay, yeah, this I have to take on.
Hmm.
You worked on the privacy statement of Facebook, which still think can use a little
Yeah.
simplification, let's say. But how did you start to build that into a company?
Yeah. So I also started, of course, after that first year working one on one with a lawyer. We
Mm-hmm.
also, like, for that prize that we won, we also founded a company. But
Mm-hmm.
after a year of collaborating, we had like challenges to work together, and yeah, we just split our ways, and we still went our own ways on to proceed with the main idea, the core idea,
Mm-hmm.
both on our own ways. That's when I started Visual Contracts. Um, and yeah, like the core, like, of course I was then on my own, so my main challenge was then like, yeah, in a way, I'm not a lawyer, I didn't study law, how am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And the core is actually also that, like, that's why I started Visual Contracts really as that platform to, because that's also what I saw, like working one-on-one with one lawyer, how many more, like, and how big the issue, like the challenges that we're working on. It's like, how much can we do? Like, if we keep it like very small with one person or
Uh-huh.
two people. So this is why I really started with, and also, yeah, what can I do on my own without other resources?
Uh-huh.
So that's like where, of course, consultancy came into the place, but also that platform with community, kind of building a community to build to bring together more lawyers and designers with this mindset and this idea, and yeah, and training. So those are the core concepts, like um, consultancy in a way, like with any lawyer or business that want to work on such a like a document or other type of legal service that we want to make more accessible. I could offer my design skills, of course, as
Mm-hmm.
a service, and then like at the same time building that community. In the end, right now it's more based on LinkedIn, a LinkedIn group.
Mm-hmm.
um, but I actually started with a website where that was my starting point, to have like people sign up for as a
Mm-hmm.
member.
Yeah.
um, and lawyers were really, yeah, signing up for that, and also wanting to get training on legal design. That was really the, like, legal design is the discipline that has been growing in the past years to make the law more accessible in the broadest sense on all certain or different levels.
Okay, so the industry does recognize the need for, let's say, making things simpler and more accessible.
Yeah, so of course you have still a lot of like the super traditional, like
Mm-hmm.
there's
Yeah.
always that group that is not changing yet or not
No.
seeing the point. And you always have the innovators that and the pioneers. And I think like this is what I really see, like over the years that I've been working on visual contracts, how much is the whole movement of legal design has grown. There's still also a lot of misunderstanding of what it is actually do. Like in the legal field, a lot of people, and I think in general, if people are not from the design world, what
Mm-hmm.
people associate with design is a lot about like making things beautiful or something like that.
Yeah.
That the really most like tangible part maybe. But yeah, design is so much more than just making things beautiful. Of course, that is like not like, of course it can be a very essential part, but it's definitely not everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, really the part
So
of,
so what else is it? Can you
yeah.
break it down?
Yes. So maybe let's take then an example also to make it a little bit concrete, and let's take a
Yeah.
contract as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So we really look into contract design as like, okay, it's a tool in the end for making an agreement with each other. So
Yeah.
that's also from the product design perspective, like that is like the touch point as I talked like about before. You put things together in order to make things happen and to work towards a certain strategy, for example, or yeah, make a deal, make a business deal,
Mm-hmm.
or protect your
IP.
assets, whatever it
Yeah.
is. That is where indeed the core essence, like right now from contract design, is like also looking into what do you actually need to cover in the content, which is a very, very big part of contract design.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes in the current way of how contracts are dealt with, it's just like, okay, we have some sort of template somewhere, we just take that
Yeah.
and just reuse it,
Yeah.
maybe change a few things. But oftentimes those templates have been evolved and like built upon, like, and it's not necessarily the right base for your current situation. So
No.
really strategically thinking of like, what do you need right now? And
Mm-hmm.
then not just, this is the core design part again, it's that we are not just looking from the legal perspective, but we're looking from the also the business perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and of course the user perspective.
Yeah.
So this is where, what do users like? And oftentimes that is, of course, contradicting to what, if you look into the business,
Mm-hmm.
like what a business wants and needs is maybe opposite often to the customer or to the, yeah, user, depending on
Yeah.
what situation you have. So thinking that through, and what do you actually need here, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
is a core part of that process of how to put your contract together. And then if you have that content,
Mm-hmm.
then you can start working on like, okay, in what format do you want to bring that all together?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you can also still go into multiple directions. But yeah, often this is for example, a lot of businesses, of course, still work with Word and maybe some sort of software.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might also be a factor that determines how you are further designing your contract.
Yeah.
And then again, the business culture and the brand, etc. So all of these factors that define how, what designs decisions and business decisions you make on
Mhm.
how to put those things together. But in the end, you're designing some sort of document, which also could be in a different format. Like ideally, what we are doing with visual contracts
Mhm.
is not working with Word because Word
Mhm.
is particularly not designed for visualization. So
No.
if we want to incorporate visualization, and I'm not saying per se that you always need to incorporate visualization. This is really dependent on the context that you're working in and who you're working for. Like who is the receiver of the contract, and in what context are you? Like what are we talking about? What kind of
Mhm.
contract are we talking about? Um, but this is where visualization comes in. Then I use just like Figma and InDesign maybe, or like just the real design programs to put things together and then export it to a PDF
Mhm.
that you then can use. But there's where again the part of how are you going to use it comes in. And then if it still needs to become a Word document because it needs to be incorporated in a certain contract management software, or you can use it in a different way. But this is really where it leads up to why we were also building our software in the end.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is that there's a lot of work to be done before you even start choosing if you go to Figma or to maybe even to Word if that's
Yes.
the only solution you have. You need to think about what is the purpose, who are involved,
Yes.
what is their also I guess what is their level of maybe digital savviness, but also how literate are
Yes.
they?
Yes.
And from there, you start choosing, okay, what is the best format for this particular case?
Yes.
So it's a bit lengthier story than just picking a standard template, which
Yes.
I admit that I've done on many occasions.
And
Just
for many people, that's how
copy
it's
and
done.
paste and then fill in the blanks. So that is interesting. But then talk me also through the market that is out there because there's some adoption.
Yeah.
What are which parties would be the first to be interested in this?
But before I get into that, I actually wanted to add one more aspect, which is really
Yeah.
essential because I think you already mentioned it before, like when you mentioned the ING example,
Uh-huh.
that like to hold it against people, like that part, like the
Hmm.
mindset of like, how are you using your contracts? And that's
Yeah.
why I was also talking about the strategic part. So in law and in the legal field, there's also a movement of preventive and proactive law,
Yeah.
and this is where you can choose. This is again like this is what people also or business is always asking also, like, yeah, don't people just want to hide stuff like in the that's why we have
Yeah.
legal documents, right, to hide
Yeah.
our
The
stuff.
small print.
Yeah, the small print indeed, and that's why do business want that? So this also connected again to the market maybe,
Yeah.
but in essence, this is where the core essence of like contract design is also to make like the best strategic choices, like to enhance your business in
Hmm.
multiple levels. So also on your branding, but also, and branding can be also on that strategic level, like how
Yeah.
proactive are you, like how much do you take your end user or your customer in mind
Yeah.
to like be do the beneficial thing for them, or make it like a win-win situation,
Hmm.
instead of just protecting your own positions and like
Yeah.
ev- do everything to only to protect yourself, more or
Yeah.
less, or to use like the contract as a weapon, which is
Hmm.
also that's really traditional mindset that is really not so much like in line with contract designers, I would say. But yeah, that is part of the choice also in the design process as well.
Yeah. Do you want to make it just enforceable, or do you actually want to enable
Yeah.
the other party also to to be in a yeah, how to say, relationship on a similar level?
Yes, exactly. And like in what way do you want to collaborate? So also in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
again,
Is it
it
more
depends. If you very much have a transactional deal, maybe you don't need to, like then that's still the question: do you need to be strategic or thinking about the other party? How much? That's still. And then I think coming back to the market question, then
mm,
this is exactly where it also aligns. Like, where do people stand or businesses stand in this whole perspective with everything that you can do with design, with contract design?
mm,
yeah, of course, not everyone is there yet to do
No.
like and visual and like, or maybe visual is not necessarily always the, but that strategic and proactive mindset
Mm-hmm.
doesn't fit every company yet because they're just
Yeah.
not there yet to operate like that.
Uh-huh.
And then again, also what you're saying, like the digital skills and like the mind, just in general already, like from the business and the legal perspective, like how much can you make your contract more accessible in plain legal language already? If you only talk about plain legal language, even,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that is also not everyone is there yet. So definitely, this is where you see, like, of course, yeah, what type of businesses are actually in this, like who are like susceptible for this.
Mm-hmm.
Often these are definitely innovative businesses because they
Yeah.
they have usually already a more open mind, like open mindset.
Also,
And
a better starting point. They're
sorry,
still also a different starting point
yeah.
because they're they're open to innovation, sure, but also, especially I could think of startups, they don't have a legal
Yeah, so that
documentation
has
set up.
benefits. Like you have, of course. So if we look into corporates that
Mm.
think a little bit innovative, they mostly have more resources, of course. To
Yeah.
They have other challenges, of course. So startups, like, each have, of course, their pro and cons, more or less, or
Uh-huh.
making it easier or harder to to implement these contracts. But this is where, indeed, like, as startups or scale ups, I think scale ups, for example, are maybe the better case because they usually are already a little bit more out in the field. They have a
Yeah.
little bit more knowledge about the business and what they need. So
Mm-hmm.
they have really a strong position to implement also that proactive lawyering and like the more strategic choices in like choosing for their, like, really to enhance and emphasize their brand and their position, and to further build on that and to scale that further. Yeah, if they want to further also scale their business.
Yeah.
So, but this is where also corporates that are open, they still have the challenges, of course, for implementation. And their
Mm-hmm.
implementation, the part that's again coming back to the technology, like how far, like what tools do you have available? How digital can you work? How much
Mm-hmm.
automation do you have implemented already, or do you want to implement? Those are, of course, all factors like what you can do with contract design.
I was wondering, does it also save legal cost? Like
In the end, yes,
if you have clear contracts,
yes,
there's less debate.
yes, 100%. And of course, so what also is a factor is like the faster deal closure.
Mm-hmm.
So it has this, like, yeah, like for the sales contract is really about making sure that that your customers understand your proposition very well and
Yeah.
what you're offering, and just everything, so that they can sign a deal. Like, you have less complications, especially if you have like complex products or services that you need to sell.
Yeah.
This is definitely where it's also a very good use case, like to make your contract very clear and easy so that customers just sign faster. Yeah, that is super essential for your business, of
Yeah.
course. And
Yeah.
so in the end, it's an investment upfront because it's
Yeah.
still, yeah, it is. This is the part where, with the software that we were building, that is was like aiming to also help to get it like more affordable.
Mm-hmm.
But usually it's still at the moment custom contract design.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that is where, of course, it will. If you invest in it, you will definitely reap the benefits of it. But yeah, that is where yeah, the faster deal closure, indeed, also prevention of conflict, like starting on a different basis, having a better communication with your
Yeah.
customers or your suppliers or whoever your like employees, like employment contracts. That is like the benefit of what you're investing in, indeed.
Yeah. Um, so I want to switch gears a bit.
Yeah.
There's two things I want to pick up on. One is you mentioned that you have dyslexia and ADHD.
Hmm.
Um, how does that influence you doing business? How does that influence you working in a startup?
Well, how does that, if you don't have that, influence your business? I don't know.
Uh,
This is where, of course, it's just my
no, no,
way of
no. But
thinking.
I'm just wondering about your personal experience.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What did it?
But that's the thing. That's why I'm like like asking you the same question, like how
Mm.
do you think, and how does that influence your business or doing business? In the end, it's who I am.
Yeah.
I this is how I work and operate. I think actually like the core of like my creativity and how I think is definitely the core of my innovate like my how I think and my innovative perspective, more or
Mhm.
less. Being like where I am right now with visual contracts, I'm still like one of the pioneers globally doing this.
Mhm.
um yeah, this is the part that is part I think related to like thinking differently.
Mhm.
If you want to ask about like the daily operations, well, I can say like what I usually run into is that like, so my mind is fast.
Mhm. Yeah.
And with if I'm motivated, I can go like super fast. And this
Mhm.
is where I have to often like slow down to not run in front of other people, more or less, and to make sure that I take along the other people, or like that we are still aligned. So that is a
Yeah.
lot of a lot of the parts of what I'm dealing with like making sure that, and that, yeah, that's I think in essence also one of my motivations again for working on visual contracts. It's like the essential part of like the world is more or less built on like the neurotypical mindset,
Yeah.
and visual contracts is a way to make things more inclusive for the legal perspective, um, to make sure that we align better and that it's becoming more inclusive anyway, so that more people can, yeah, have this equal opportunities in the end. That's really the higher level goal for me, what I would like to achieve with visual contracts. um, but I think, yeah, so for the rest, of course, I'm dealing with what everyone is dealing with. Like, how do you manage your energy
Yeah.
and like, yeah, like your time and like, okay, so one thing, particular trait of I'm now thinking is that like, let's say a trait of neurodiversity
Mhm.
is like not having a good sense of time. That's 100% what I'm dealing with. But
Mhm.
yeah, I have also been living with this my whole life, of course. So
Yeah, it's not
getting,
that you have a way to
I
compare.
do like, so I do have moments that I lose things, and um, I think in the essence is that like from the work perspective,
Mhm.
I have a lot of benefits also from my ADHD and neurodiversity. Um, in my personal life, I definitely see more challenges. Like this is the part of like thinking differently. There's the
Mhm.
connection, like connecting to people. And that's maybe if we go further, I think later in the podcast that we are talking about
Mhm.
investment, I think there's maybe some aspects again that I'm running into like thinking differently, and that the investment world is maybe not that much uh, like aligned on that. But this is where, like, for me, it's hard to like sum up. Like, there's like look up some podcast on neurodiversity. You come across so many things,
Yeah.
and yes, I deal with those things. But this is in part like how everyone is managing their own days and work and time management and project management.
Mhm.
Definitely, my mind is working indeed that sense of like what I was saying, like the creative and a holistic way of living and thinking.
Mhm.
That is one aspect, like super essential thing, and to manage my energy so that I don't like, yeah, adapting to other people, like adapting to the world, more or less, is
Yeah.
costing energy. And that's what I also need to manage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if that is it is like
Yeah.
a big topic actually that you
Yeah.
address.
So I want to double click on the alignment part. So
Hmm.
what I'm basically hearing you say is, okay, it's just the way I've been always, but I am sometimes struggling. I'm paraphrasing now, to keep people aligned with me.
Yeah.
How and I think that's an essential thing of what you're doing is building
Yes.
trust, but
Yeah.
and building alignment. But then on the other hand, you're sort of struggling to build that yourself.
Yes.
Does that help or does that not help? Did you find that helpful? Let me rephrase it.
What did I find what helpful?
Well, if you have the experience yourself,
Yeah.
that's
Oh yeah, yeah. So.
hypothesis,
Yeah.
it makes it easy to empathize with the other side of the table, let's say, and
Yeah, so I think,
be that
yeah.
clients, be that investors.
No, indeed. I think, yeah, I think this is very essential. This so like in the very like first year that I was working with that lawyer one on one, that was
Mm,
one, like if I'm talking about that innovation part, like yes, I've been dealing with adapting to the world my whole life, and
mm,
I still keep on doing that. So I have a lot of experiencing in like different worlds, and
yeah,
then yeah, it doesn't always work, and that is very hard and frustrating and challenging at times. That, yeah, if things really don't work out, then yeah, that is really impactful in a
yeah,
not always positive way. But at the same time, that's also why I'm always framing this is the point indeed where my when I come back to the essential part of like who am I, what am I doing, what do I want to bring to the world,
mm,
then I indeed I'm tapping into that energy of like, okay, I know I have a different view and I have something to bring to the world with a different perspective, and I want to bring that across and to align with that and to make sure that, and then finding that way, and that is a like continuous work indeed to do that. But that's, I think, indeed the essential part of also the diversity and inclusion, like working towards and together, like aligning with each other.
mhm,
So open-mindedness of like, okay, maybe someone does think in a different way and has a different perspective, and indeed their daily work or their day, how to manage a day is totally different from my
yeah,
from how it works for me. That is something that indeed, yeah, I think that is definitely what I have always been trying to work from a positive perspective. But yeah, I also still encounter of the in the to the challenges that it
yeah,
is still also, yeah, challenging to try to bring that together and to align.
yeah. So you recently decided to take a break
Yeah.
from visual contracts.
Yes.
Uh, do you want to tell us why?
Yes. So I have been working in the past 2 years on the software for
Hmm.
visual contracts to
Yeah,
really sort of build the Canva for contracts, to make it easier to scale up everything that we are doing, to make it easier for people to make contracts design more easy for everyone to implement.
yeah.
And I took the break because, like, with my co-founder, I have been yeah, fundraising to try to fundraise for the software, which in the end we didn't succeed in. After always like, or like many times being like sort of almost there, like, but still not closing things,
Hmm.
or like, and this is also with challenges like competitions, etc.
Hmm.
Being in finals of competitions, etc., having the opportunity to win like 500K or something like that, but every time still not winning that.
Yeah.
Um, that is like definitely, and just talking to investors, of course. And this was with angel investors and also several venture capital firms.
Hmm.
Yeah, some of them have been good conversations also, but of course there also have been a lot that like were not yeah, not like we didn't succeed there.
Didn't people see the potential, or was it more about the connection, the personal connection then?
I think that is aligned in that sense. Like
Mm,
there is, I think, yeah. So to understand, so in the first place, I think from what we have come across is that a lot of investors also don't know. Like there are not a lot of investors out there that really know the legal field in general.
no.
So I definitely saw the differences when I talked to an investor that has a connection to the legal field, and they understood the whole concept way better and way more easier and faster.
Yeah.
Then still questions, yeah, questions that they had were about scalability or something like that, which I think are like weird questions in the end. But yeah, and this is where it comes back to, okay, how do we pitch and what do we communicate? And so what is wrong with the pitch, more or less?
Hmm.
Um, or is it indeed scalable? Well, I'm sure that it is scalable, although yeah, how to communicate that? And there's just certain aspects in a certain business, like for example with design, investors already associate design with like custom design, and it's costly and it's not scalable. So already having that core design element in it is something that, at least that's what I have
Ah.
experienced.
But Canva has been around for
Exactly.
quite a long time. I've been using it
So
for the better part of the last 6 years. In fact, I've been using it for 6 years.
and still, this is, and that's where I'm coming back to. Okay, there's also the part where how we have been communicating and pitching, maybe, I don't know,
Mm,
but still, we have always also pitched to Canva for contracts.
yeah.
And so maybe to another aspect to it is like maybe that's also one thing. So indeed, of course, pitching Canva for contracts is a huge deal, like, because we're associating already with Canva, which is super large and like so. I think this is where indeed our progress, and that is definitely one other aspect. Like,
Mm,
so a few months back now, I quit the collaboration with my co-founder, and that is like from the starting point we definitely had differences, which I think was
mm,
also that's why we started also because differences and different perspectives is also a good thing.
yeah.
But yeah, I think in the end this is where the progress that we made. So my co-founder was part-time,
Hmm.
and that has been definitely a factor in how, like, over the 2 years that we have been working together, I'm now looking back and I think like I should have quit with this collaboration earlier, maybe.
Hmm.
That is one thing. But yeah, that's also influencing, like, of course, the progress that we made. Yeah, I think that is definitely like I definitely have, like, if I pick it up again, which is
Hmm.
definitely my aim,
Hmm.
to find a new co-founder that, like, and being very very sharp on, like, alignment again on values and how we approach things, and regarding fundraising or not, maybe even bootstrapping if possible. That's a little bit the question, like, how
Hmm.
bootstrappable is the software that we are aiming to build. But there are definitely a lot of factors there regarding finding the right co-founder match.
Yeah.
Yeah, how essential that is and how much influence it has on your success of the business. So yeah, and that's like hard. Of course, it's very hard to find a good co-founder in general. But yeah, that's, I think, part
Yeah.
of the deal in general.
But is it, was it alignment on just the working hours, or was it also deeper in the sense? Sure, you're different, but yeah, that can also bring a
So I
lot
think,
of
well,
positive things. But
one aspect was for example, I was very much on the tour of also going towards steward ownership at the
hmm.
beginning when we met.
Hmm.
There, I also now look back, and then when I talked to my co-founder, then, like, so he has an Indian background and also studied in the US, so he had
Hmm.
also that more US mindset, and I think there's like the European versus the US mindset on investing
Hmm.
that definitely follow through, and then impact investing particularly. So this is what my co-founder was not necessarily aware of, that like, what is impact investing. There we definitely had a different view also. So that's, well, we worked around that while we were working together. But I think in the end that is one factor that still, like, we have where that is coming from. um yeah, I chose to because of, like, everything else that was super good, to go along with it.
Hmm.
But that is a factor combined, and indeed with, like, of course, I have been already putting all, like, and where I'm coming from. I know that, with my background and my motivation, my personal motivation, of course, that's hard like, I will not necessarily find someone that exactly has that type of drive because of, like, my innate drive to change this part of the accessibility in the law,
Yeah.
that is from that dyslexia or neurodivergent. Like, of course, not everyone has that, or not in from that perspective. So that I already take into account, but that combined with working part-time, it could still work, of course,
Hmm.
if you just go all, like, really go for it. But that's where I think in the end, after, like, some time, and one big factor is for me, like, this was the first time fundraising for me. The
Hmm.
whole fundraising world was also new, so I also learned, of course, from that, and took also his view. This is always like, in general, I think, how do you fundraise? Um, like what I was already saying, like, European versus American perspective, 100% they have different views, and the essence, of course, is more or less in the end, you want to make money, also even in
Yeah.
impact investment. But I think still there are the nuances that are different, where, yeah, you need to make sure that that is aligned also to make sure that you can keep on going
Yeah.
and are going to the same direction. And I had the idea that we did align enough. But yeah, during the course of fundraising and then also other events that happened, like with actual customer and business,
Hmm.
that is where at some point the difference came through. That yeah, I at some point just had to say like, okay, now we need to just stop this. This is not going where we
Yeah.
want. Both we have different views.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Well, the investment, the fundraising, I think like for the co-founder part, yeah, that is like, of course, I wish I would have had the insights earlier, maybe or so, like that I would take a different perspective. But at the same time,
Hmm.
it's okay. That's how it goes. You know, you can only do what you know, and you can only act upon what you can see at the moment. But with the investment world, it definitely, yeah, and yeah, that was really hard on my personal, like that's why I really needed that break. I needed the
Yeah.
break to come to my senses, to really align with myself again. Like this is the part of adapting,
Yeah.
100% of like how much I am adapting in order to try to make this work and to fit into that. And that's why I'm also very much questioning, like, do I really want to get back into the fundraising world? Can I bootstrap this? But at the same time, I don't want to give up on that because this is the point of like where I feel the inequalities or the diversity and inclusion part. I still feel like I want to make that happen. That has been always a driver, and I still feel like strongly about that. But I just need, of course, to have the right mindset and the energy in order to be able to
Well,
take up such a challenge.
I was wondering. Let me challenge you a bit on that. If you feel like it's not for you, there's I don't see a bad thing in leaving
No, but
certain parts of being a co-founder to other people. Like if you feel like you have to adapt too much when you pitch.
yeah, but this is
eh,
like it again, and this is definitely why I'm like, if I'm taking this up again, I definitely want to do it different and
mhm,
finding the right people around me. Yeah,
yeah.
of course. That is where I also see like it is very important, and that has been like, I don't know if it's more challenging. Like I think in general for everyone, finding a good co-founder team. I think like so many startups, of course, starts during study or so, and then you're like have three friends and they start, also because I have been working on this business already for so long,
Mhm,
that also is a factor that is making it more challenging because I have been running this whole thing on my own all the time
yeah.
and like trying to let people in. That's also that's why I tried, I tried to let people
Mhm,
in and do this again. But this is definitely the part, like, of course, what I'm dealing with and what is going to work, how is it going to work? That is something that I'm still indeed figuring out and like trying to find the nuances based on all the knowledge and experience that I have right now, because I also in like a few years back during COVID, or at the end of like the starting point of COVID, I was also in negotiation with two other potential co-founders that I actually didn't follow through with.
mhm,
So exploring like who should be my team is
yeah.
definitely very important. And I know also where I'm less good at, and that I need to have like some other people. And that's like, for example, this is the part with pitching, for example, that I find challenging. Like, and it's not adding up in my mind still, because I am in a way also good at telling stories in a way.
Mhm,
But at the same time, if I'm in front of the investors, then things happen and then I block. This is where I know, so I can train on that maybe. And at the same time, maybe someone with just a lot of pitching experience and have fundraised before might be better at it in general, and that will be also making me less stressful, etc. So
yeah. If
I'm
you
still
don't have to
exploring.
worry about the money, then
Exactly, of course.
it makes your life a whole lot easier, I
Yeah,
think. But the point I was trying to make was actually more like you're drawing a lot to yourself.
yeah.
And
It's
I
to
was sort of questioning, okay, is that always something you should do, or
no,
is it an option to let's leave some stuff that happened? Hey, it happened. Yeah, you know.
no, I know that. So look at this. This what you're now addressing is typically something. If you talk to other neurodiverse people,
Yeah.
this is, yeah, that is innate. Also, like no, yeah, I know and I'm aware, and that's why I have been looking into like collaborating, and that's what I'm dealing with, like not to take everything on myself. But yeah, that is like one of the other struggles indeed to deal with daily on a daily basis, like not to take it on like my own fault or something or
Yeah.
what. Yeah, yeah, true.
Okay. Um, you had a bit of time to reflect, I think, over the
Mhm.
past few weeks. And we already talked about finding a different co-founder, looking at composition of the team who works that works on the product. Any other lessons that you or any other things that you will do different next time?
Well, the other thing that I'm working on right now is like building a new buffer again, like a financial buffer, because that is, of course, a totally different base to start from, which I also, how I started has been from the luxury of having some financial base so that you can just take some risk.
Yeah,
And yeah, that has been like definitely one aspect of I have been trying to keep on going while already in a like of course I was surviving COVID, but yeah, that made also like it has been a challenge to come like recover from that. Like during COVID, I actually had two employees, which I started with two employees, which is like not there was not like maybe the best decision back then, but those are things of like how to manage the money part, that cash flow management I definitely learned a lot from in the past years. Yeah, that is something that I want to take up further again, but that's why right now I'm taking also that break to have a better financial base again, to pick it up again and be able to go full, yeah, all in. But I think still the other part is that super big part of like the right team, and that's I'm still yeah, I think that is just super essential.
yeah,
I
I
do-
think
I
I think so too.
yeah.
So, hey, I have an arrangement with Jacqueline van der Ende, one of my previous guests, to make this podcast irrelevant in by the end of 2032.
Mhm.
In your view, what would need to happen for that to be possible
I
in
think
society, or maybe I can do things?
no, yeah, I think what you're doing super great indeed. Like also having indeed the male alliances, 100%.
Hmm,
But also like conversations, like keeping the conversations going, which is I think is also what you're doing and promoting.
yeah,
But in general, I think that is what is needed, like to and definitely if you look into also the investor space, like there's so much of like this is how the game is played and this is how it is done.
yeah,
And I think this is where opening up for a little bit more conversation and looking into people's background stories instead
yeah,
of only the numbers and like the outside, like the things that need to be there. Like, of course, in the end, in investment deals, yeah, of course, you need to see the financial return and have the trust.
yeah,
But this is definitely where, indeed, I think the inclusivity comes from, that open mindedness, that not everyone comes from the same background and the same journey as like what they are looking for or something like that.
yeah.
I think that is where the conversation comes in to open up that part.
Sounds like a great place to wrap. Thank you, Lieke.
Yeah, you too.
If
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
really thank you for a really honest and open conversation.
Thank
One
you.
that I really enjoyed, by the way. If people want to learn more about you and about the work you're doing with visual contracts, would you like to send them?
Well, definitely LinkedIn, just my personal LinkedIn profile, Lieke Beelen. But also just visualcontracts.eu is still at the moment the main website that you can find visual contracts on.
Okay. Well, Lieke Beelen, thank you very much for a great conversation. Listeners, we'll include those links in the show notes. That's it for this episode. And until the next one, keep being awesome. Well, that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to episode 68 of Women Disrupting Tech with Lieke Beelen on the true story of making legalese easy to read with visual contracts. Lieke and I hope that you've enjoyed our conversation as much as we did. And if you'd like to learn more about Lieke and follow her journey as an entrepreneur, please feel free to connect with her via the links in the show notes. As usual, you can find the show notes at womendisruptingtech.blog. On the same website, you can also become a member of the Women Disrupting Tech community. Members get early access to new episodes, and in the weekly newsletter, I'll share with you what I learned from each of the episodes. Plus, you'll be the first to hear when new blog posts about women who built the internet come online. So check out the show notes for a link. When you're looking for a role model to inspire your own hero's journey in tech, I invite you to check out one of the other episodes of this podcast on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And if you're a regular listener, please give the show a rating or a review because that way you help other people discover the podcast. If you're a male ally and you want to help the Women Disrupting Tech make this podcast obsolete by the end of 2032, there's a simple thing you can do. Please share the podcast with friends, family, and coworkers because this way you give my guests a platform they need to make it happen. Finally, if you want to connect with me, you can reach me via dirkjan at womendisruptingtech.blog or you can send me a DM on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, simply type in my name and you'll find me. With that, I wish you a wonderful day. I hope to see you in the next episode, and until then, keep being awesome.